Hello, welcome to Maximize Your Time and Elevate Your Life, the weekly podcast that gives busy professionals practical tips to work smarter, not harder. I'm your host, Blinn Bates, and each week we're going to explore simple strategies to help you take control of your calendar and create more margin in your life. Because although time is finite, how you use it matters. Welcome back. Does your to-do list feel endless? If so, you're likely reacting instead of prioritizing the things that you need to do. Today I want to talk about the Eisenhower matrix. This is a simple, powerful tool that can help you decide what to do, what to plan, what to delegate, and what to drop. So a little bit of history about the matrix. This matrix is named after our former president, Dwight D. Eisenhower. This was a guy that was a leader. He balanced strategy, urgency throughout his career, and one of his famous quotes was, "What is important is seldom urgent, and what is urgent is seldom important." This insight, then, was kind of the impetus for this Eisenhower matrix that we call it now. And what it is a 2x2 grid that categorizes your tasks by importance and by urgency. Envision an XY axis that has 4 quadrants. We're going to put each task in one of these quadrants and make intentional choices about where our time's going to go. Okay, so in the upper left of the matrix, these are going to be urgent and important tasks. These are going to be the things that we're going to do first. In the upper right quadrant, these are going to be things that are important but not necessarily urgent. So these things we're going to schedule. We're going to put these on the calendar. Maybe there'll be a week out, 2 weeks out, month, whatever that might be. In the lower left quadrant, we're going to have our urgent but not important tasks. These are going to be tasks that we're going to delegate to somebody else. So these are things that we probably should not be doing. And then finally, in the lower right quadrant, we're going to have tasks that are not urgent and not important. And what we're going to do with these is we're going to get rid of them. We're not going to do them. We're going to junk them. So this structure is going to prevent us from spending our best hours on what I call busy work or things that we shouldn't be doing. We want to be doing our highest and best work. This works because a lot of times things that feel urgent really aren't urgent. You know, when we get the pings or we get the emails or we get the requests, you know, somebody else's quote unquote emergency, we feel like we need to react right away. And that's kind of the culture we live in, but that is not going to help us accomplish our best work. This matrix forces us to look at all these things and say, is this task worth my time? And if it is it worth my time now, or is it something that I can put off to later and do some more urgent things now? So it really helps us prioritize. And when we're prioritizing, we're going to reduce our stress levels because we know these things live somewhere. We're not going to forget about them. We're going to spend more time on the work that moves the needle. We're going to delegate more effectively with more confidence because we're going to know these are the things that I should be delegating. And we're hopefully going to avoid those time wasters. So instead of letting these urgent emergencies, quote unquote, drive our day, we're going to let our priorities drive our day. So how do we use this? First thing we're going to do is we're going to list out all of our tasks. That can be piece of paper, Word document, whatever it is, big and small, urgent, optional, hairs on fire, whatever the case may be. We're going to list all those out. And then each item we're going to put in one of these 4 quadrants. So we're going to ask, is this important? Is this urgent? And then depending on the answers there, we're going to put it in. Hey guys, hope you're enjoying the episode. Wanted to break in for just a second to let you know that if you're a busy professional who wants more control over your time, your calendar, and your priorities, I do offer consulting and coaching services. You can navigate to my website at blinnbates.com. You can review our services, complete the right fit evaluator, and see if working together makes sense. Just submit that short evaluator and we can schedule a no-cost, no-obligation call to see if working together would be helpful. Again, that's blinnbates.com. I'll put that link in the show notes. Now let's get back to the episode. Quadrant. First quadrant's going to be due. So some examples of this could be, these have impending deadlines. So this is due Friday. I've got to get this done. Client deliverables, actual emergencies. not perceived emergencies, not things that other people think are emergencies, things that are actually emergencies. Next, we're going to have the quadrant of scheduling. So these could include things like planning meetings, strategic work, growth activities, things like that are important, but not necessarily urgent. Nobody's going to be yelling at you to get these things done. So maybe we block an hour or two next week to do these things. Now, the trick here is we have to actually do that when that calendar appointment comes up. We have to abide by what we have planned for ourselves, or else this is not going to work. We're just going to push these off and push them off and push them off, and then our important things are not going to get done. If it's not important but urgent, we want to delegate them. So these are things like meetings that we maybe don't need to be at, data entry, routine administration, house chores, like mowing the lawn, things like that. That one's a touchy subject. I get into discussions with high achievers about that one all the time. Some people think that they need to be mowing the lawn because it provides them with space to think, and we have arguments about that, but that's a whole rabbit hole we can talk about another time. And then the last quadrant of tasks is things we're going to eliminate. So maybe this is scrolling on the social media, the doom scroll. Maybe it's unnecessary email responses. Maybe it's events that we shouldn't be going to, tasks that don't necessarily align with our goals. We want to just eliminate those altogether. And then we want to act. So we start with what's in quadrant 1. We move to quadrant 2 as is planned, according to the plan that we've made. We are delegating quadrant 3, and we're throwing away quadrant 4. That's it. I would suggest that we do this at least at the start of the day, if not the start of the week. I think the start of the week is probably better, doing a week at a time. That's kind of how I plan my weeks. But again, I think a pro tip here is you have to actually abide by the plan. If you're not using the plan and doing what you've planned out, it's for naught. One other item that I believe is even the things that fall into the do quadrant, I think those should have a place on your calendar also. So if we have determined that these are things we need to do, there needs to be time blocked on the calendar to do those things. That time may be tomorrow. That time may have to be this week in order to meet those deadlines, meet those emergencies, but it's just going to be sooner than later. When we're scheduling these less urgent tasks, those can be later on. That brainstorming session maybe can wait till next week, but that emergency restraining order probably cannot. So we need to block that time on the calendar, in my opinion, to make sure it gets done. This week, take your to-do list, plug it into this Eisenhower matrix, organize your tasks into one of the 4 quadrants, and then act. Don't let everything feel like an emergency. I think once you do this, you're going to have a lot of peace of mind after you've taken a few minutes to do it, because everything's going to have a place. And sometimes that place may be the garbage can. As I've been researching this topic, I've found there is actually an app for this. If you wanted to pay $2 or $3 for the app, you can get that on the App Store. If you want to dig deeper, I'll include a link to an article that I read about it in the show notes. It has a pictorial view of the matrix, but if you Google Eisenhower matrix, you're going to get a million of them you can look at if you're a visual learner. So this week, let's continue to prioritize with intention, because that's how we're going to maximize our time and elevate our life. Thanks for listening to Maximize Your Time, Elevate Your Life. If you enjoyed today's episode, subscribe and share it with someone who could use a little more time freedom. If you're ready to maximize your time, please navigate to our consulting page on my website, which is blinnbates.com, and submit the right fit evaluator to see if I can help you elevate your life. Remember, time is limited, but your potential isn't. I'll see you next week.